time. Let's talk. Let's talk about it with R.C. Blakes. Let's talk about it.
How's everybody doing? I just felt inspired to come in. I'm really supposed to be somewhere right now, but I felt inspired to come in and to begin to, I haven't really broken Queenology down on social media like I did Father-Daughter Talk. You know, I actually sat and I taught every chapter of Father-Daughter Talk on Periscope, and it blessed a lot of people. And I haven't had a chance to really do this with Queenology. So I thought today, let me take a minute and let's look at chapter 1. I know I've visited some of the chapters just sporadically, and I'm not certain if I've done chapter 2, but if I have, it needs to be redone. Anyway, it's a message that I don't think a woman can hear too much. And in chapter 2, well, first of all, you know, the whole book is written, Queenology is written to the woman that has come to the place where she realizes that there's much, much more to her life than what she's experiencing. She's at the place where she realizes that she's been miniaturized, she's been constrained, restrained, detained. Her identity has been kidnapped, and now she's awake. She's been asleep as it pertains to who she is, what her potential is, the power she possesses. But now she's been awakened. And so she wakes up, and here's the visual. She wakes up and she looks over and she realizes there's a crown on the nightstand. And she looks across the room and there's a throne. And she's made aware that the crown is for her to wear and the throne is hers to sit on. But she still doesn't know how to be a queen. She realizes that I am, and that life has dealt me an unfair and an unjust hand. And it has marred or skewed my identity based on my experiences and my pain. But now I know who I am. But now how do I do this? How do I actualize my power? How do I actualize my newfound identity? That's what Queenology is all about. It's for the woman that realizes that there's more to life than what she's experienced, but she's trying to figure out, she needs somebody to tell her how to do it. My original book, Father-Daughter Talk, was to the broken woman who didn't understand why she was broken. She didn't understand why she made all of the bad choices relationally and all of the mistakes, and why she had the low self-esteem. And so we dealt with the father wound and how that led into this and that led into that. Well, now we're dealing with a woman here who's gotten through her pain, and she realizes that even though I've been broken, I'm still a queen. And I still have the responsibility of actualizing my potential. And so now she's asking the question, how do I do this? That's what Queenology is all about. Queenology, the study of queens. Ology, the study of queen, the study of queens. Because as the subtitle says, there's a queen inside of you. Every woman that's watching this by way of Periscope presently, or by way of YouTube, or whatever other platform it might be on, every woman is a queen. Most are just unconscious. Every woman is a queen. Most are just unconscious. You're not clear. You know, you need somebody to wake you up. Once you're awakened, now you need the manual on how to be a queen, and this is it. Let me just give you some of the chapters before I deal specifically with chapter 2. I'm just going to kind of jump through the chapter. Chapter 1, Queens Manage Emotions. These are things that women with a queen consciousness understand and begin to perfect. Queens manage emotions. Chapter 2, the one we're going to deal with today. Queens study kings. Queens are not oblivious to the ways of men. Queens study kings. Chapter 3, queens are financially savvy. I was talking to one of my little daughters last night. I won't call any names, and we're talking about her credit. You know, you got to get your queens are financially savvy. You're supposed to have money. You're supposed to have 2 or 3 streams of income. You're supposed to have your own money. Even if you marry a rich man, you're supposed to have your own money flowing. You're supposed to know what to do with money. You're supposed to be able to help your husband to maximize his financial position. Queens are financially savvy. Queens are not dumb as it pertains to money. And queens are always learning. Number 4, queens maximize their potential. Queens die empty. Queens don't go to the grave with all of their potential. They maximize their potential. Chapter 5, queens eliminate insecurity and negativity. I'm dealing with some of that Sunday. How to live above drama. How to live above drama. Queens don't participate in drama. They eliminate insecurity and they eliminate negativity from their lives. Chapter 6, queens possess presence. Whew. Now we'll have to get into that for you to really get it. But presence is something that shows up before you arrive and it remains after you leave. Chapter 7, queens only hear kings. Queens are not even tuned into bums and low-life men. That frequency doesn't even register. And in chapter 8, queens keep a royal circle. You can identify a queen by the people she runs with. Queens study kings. Queens study kings. Now I'm going to read a little bit from the book. A woman must know the tricks of deceptive men, and this is not the beginning of the chapter. I'm just kind of frogging around, jumping around. A woman must know the tricks of deceptive men and the needs of her God-ordained man. So a queen studies kings. She knows, in other words, queens study men. She knows the tricks and the deceptions and the deceit of ungodly men. She doesn't walk into that naively. But she also knows the needs of her God-ordained man. And where are queens often failing? Queens are failing in terms of understanding men. You don't understand the ways and the tricks and the deceptions of ungodly men that slide into your life to use and abuse you. That's what the father-daughter talk was about. We talked a lot in the father-daughter talk about the tricks of men, the games they play, and all of that kind of thing. But see, queens study that. So queens are not taken by a deceptive man or deceptive men over. You shouldn't be 30, 35, 40 years old still going around the same situation because you never paid attention to the ways of men. And then on the flip side of that, when a queen has a king, when a queen has a righteous man, she understands his needs so completely. According to Proverbs 31, that woman met her husband's needs so completely that the Bible said he had no need of spoil or error. If he messed up, it wasn't because his wife flunked on her end of the deal. Because his wife held the whole situation down. She had it on lock. Every wise and powerful woman understands that the world is a male-dominated system. It is. She learns the language, customs, and patterns to succeed in a system that is often established to subjugate her and her powers. She has to know that some men are predators seeking to devour her. She must be conscious of the tricks and schemes that will be relentlessly used against her, lest she become an unsuspecting statistic of abuse and manipulation. The Bible calls a woman who is not conscious of these things a silly woman. The word says, "For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with divers lusts." That's 2 Timothy 3:6. Now, the emphasis of this text suggests that a woman who is emotional, now listen to this statement very carefully. The emphasis of this text suggests that a woman who is emotional and hormonal without being cerebral and spiritual will be used by men like a utensil. Instead, she must pay attention. I always say to my daughters that many of the men they will meet in life are prevaricating or lying, perpetrating and or preying on clueless young women. A woman must know how men think for her own well-being, especially if she has children involved. Now, you know, that's clear right there. Now, let me skip on over to another part. If the woman doesn't have the benefit, how does a woman begin to gain the knowledge relative to men? Since queens studied kings, how does a woman begin the process of gaining this insight, gaining this knowledge relative to men? If the woman doesn't have the benefit of strong male relationships, if you don't have fathers or pastors that pour into your life, she should recall, now listen to this, she should recall all of her past relational experiences and connect the related consistent traits. If you don't have a father, if your pastor is not comfortable dealing with issues like this, and you don't have men in your life that can sit you down and teach you like I do with my biological and my spiritual daughters. All a woman needs to do, if you've lived any length of time, all you need to do is number one, stop with these relationships. Stop with these relationships. You are not qualified to be in a relationship. If every relationship you've had over the last decade has ended with your heart being broken and you being emptied of finances, self-esteem, and other things, you need to stop with the relationships. Hold up on the relationships and take some time to do what? Just take the time to look back over your history. Get a legal pad and an ink pen or a pencil and write names. What did this guy do? How did he abuse you? What mistakes did you make? Most women have never done that. You can learn everything you need to know about how men behave in their patterns because we're not really very smart. And the game really doesn't change very much. The game is the same from one man to the other, from one generation to the next. But most women have never sat down to connect the dots. If you've had 5 different men in the last decade and all of them have broke your heart, and you begin to write down what he did, what mistakes did I make here, what mistakes did I make there, when you get through writing that stuff out and you look at it, you're going to be able to see every area where you have failed. You're going to be able to see the behavior patterns of an ungodly, an unrighteous, there's another word I'm searching for, an illicit, deceptive man. You're going to be able to see it. All you need to do is take and look over your relational history and begin the process of connecting the dots. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. You know, a mistake a lot of you all make that you haven't paid attention to. You give too much too fast. I was saying in our Bible study last night, prayerfully, I'll get a chance to do this Bible study in Houston soon. We're talking about things men and women misunderstand about one another. And I was saying to one of the daughters last night, a woman should never, when you're single and you're dating, that is not the season that the woman is supposed to give too much. That's the season when you're dating. That's the season where, of course, there's give and take. The woman, you're supposed to give enough for the man to know that you can give, but you're not supposed to give too much when you're single. You're not supposed to be cooking too much. You're not supposed to be sacrificing too much. That's the time for you to be selfish and for him to prove that he has the capacity to make you number one and to do for you like Christ did for the church. That's to die for you. But what's one of the mistakes that a lot of women make is that you get into these courtships and you just give everything. You cooking, you cleaning his clothes, you picking up his children, you walking his dog, you giving him premarital sex, you're just doing everything. You giving him money when he need it. That ain't for you to do as no single woman. That's for a married woman to do. You're not supposed to give no man that all of that. See, if you start connecting the dots and you start looking over your relational history, you will discover this is one of the things that you've been doing. You've been giving too much too soon. A woman is not supposed to give as much until the contract is signed. It's the man. The man is being interviewed, not the woman. Doing way too much. Doing way too much. So a woman shouldn't simply go through relational disappointment. She should grow through it. You shouldn't just keep going through this. And some of y'all 50 and 60 years old, still being used by men. I'm talking about 60 and up, still being used by men. You mean to tell me you haven't learned nothing in 40 years? In probably 45, 50, because you started when you was a teenager. And you 60-some years old, and these men still playing these games on you, and you've never sat down. Queens study kings. Queens study kings. What's up, king? I like that. One of my spiritual daughters, she calls me King Dad. I'm going to get me a t-shirt with that. King Dad. That's what's up. King Dad. I like that. In every heartbreak or deception are extremely valuable lessons about men. Many women choose to stay in the emotion. Now listen to this statement very carefully. Listen to this statement very carefully. Many women choose to stay in the emotion of the pain and never come into a conscious place to revisit the experience for lessons and clues. There's only so much crying you can do. There's only so many days you can pull a cover over your head and close the drapes up. When are you going to get out of the bed and sit up at your kitchen table and go back and revisit the painful experience and learn the lessons from it? But instead of doing that, you try to get over the pain of that relationship with creating a new relationship that's of the same quality or lack thereof. Quit being a victim. Get out of the bed. When a woman stops and just thinks about what she's gone through, it will prove to be a world-class education in the ways of men. When a woman stops and just thinks about what she's gone through, it will prove to be a world-class education in the ways of men. Now, let me tell you something else I've learned. And all of this is just kind of I'm just kind of talking. All this, of course, is in the book. Of course, I'm reading from the book. Another thing you will discover when you take this first principle of that a woman should recall all of her past relational experiences and connect the related dots. Another thing you will discover when you get that legal pad out and you get that pen or that pencil out and you begin to write down the names of the men that have wronged you is that you will discover that you have consistently chosen the same kind of man. Now, what does that say to you? Okay, I'm not a dog person. I love the way dogs look. They're cute. You know, they're pretty. But I don't want to have to clean up no stuff from no dog. I'm scared of dogs. They got too many teeth. They don't talk English, and I don't know where they mind at. But I like to see other people's dogs. Love to see I don't want none. But if I were a dog lover, and if I bought a German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd bit me, and then I bought another German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd bit me, and then if I bought another German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd bit Lisa, I got tired of getting bit. And I bought another German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd bit me. And I bought a fifth one, and the German Shepherd bit me. At some point, if I just feel like I got to have a dog, I think I need a different kind. I need another breed. A lot of times when you begin, queens study kings. When you begin to study the men that have wronged you in life, you will discover they were all the same man, just in a different suit or in different pair of tennis shoes. You keep choosing the same kind of man. And the kind of man that would really make a great king is quite often the man you're not attracted to. Like some of y'all say, I can't meet no good man. That ain't always true. It's just that the good men that show up in your life, you're not attracted to, because you've been conditioned to choose your men from a surface perspective rather than from a soul and spirit perspective. He got to have so much money. Really, all he needs to be is a hardworking man that wants to provide and take care of you. He doesn't have to be no rich man. He doesn't have to be a pretty boy. He doesn't have to have a washboard stomach. He doesn't have to be 6.5 feet tall. He needs to be a man. All that stuff you just described is stuff that's fading away every day anyway. A lot of y'all need to stop with these relationships and study the men that you've had, and you will discover that you choose a certain kind of man. Maybe if these kinds of men keep biting you, maybe you need a poodle this time. Praise the Lord. A queen learns the language of a man, and she can hear what he's not saying. A queen learns the language of a man, and she can hear what he's not saying. Because queens listen more than they talk. You cannot study a king if you're constantly running your mouth. One of the biggest mistakes women make is that you talk too much to unproven people. You're not supposed to share all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your mind with a man that you're just meeting. You're supposed to, as a woman, you're supposed to study this man. Dating is for data. Dating is really an interview. You're interviewing this guy. And you should not only hear what he's saying, but you should be listening so intently that you hear what he's not saying. Because see, a man knows, you have to understand this, we talked about it in the father-daughter talk, a man knows that a woman is moved by the right words. And if a man says the right stuff to you, he can emotionally knock you off guard, and then you just gone, Cal gone, take me away. And now he just slides right on in. But if you are a queen with a consciousness, you learn to listen through all of the great talk, and you learn to hear what he's not saying. You're not moved by persuasive words. You're listening to what he's not saying. And then you locate the areas where he's not saying certain things, and you begin to question him along those lines. Because questioning does what? It reveals motives. So queens, listen to what men are not saying. A queen understands her vulnerabilities. She acknowledges her female proclivity to gravitate to the appealing words of a man. A queen knows herself. And when a man is saying all of the right stuff, queens don't speed up. Queens slow down. So as to give the man an opportunity to do what? Prove himself. Because if you think about it, the last 5 that you had, they said all of the right stuff. You sped up, got all emotional, got all hormonal, and got carried away and got out of your intellect, got out of your discernment, and you got caught up in your emotions, and it ended in what? Heartbreak. German Shepherd bit you again. So a queen conscious woman comes to the point where she understands her female weakness of being moved by the right words. And when she hears a man saying all of the right stuff, she revisits those past experiences, and she doesn't allow her emotions to carry her away. Is this helping anybody? You cannot study a person's mind if you're speaking yours constantly. Shut up and listen. You see that? You cannot study a person's mind if you're speaking yours constantly. Shut up and listen. So how may a woman get to know a man? Queen uses dating for data. Mentioned that. Another question could be, okay, let me just read this here. Don't waste the great opportunity to subtly interrogate a man when you're on a date with him by giggling and batting your eyes. The day of the dumb blonde is over. The purpose of the date should not be to explore the sexual attraction and chemistry that initially caught your attention. You need to uncover the character of the brother with wise and intentional maneuvers. You should be as meek as a lamb and as calculating as a serpent. Steve Harvey put it this way: act like a woman, but think like a man. You could ask questions like, where do you work? And how long have you been there? These questions will give you some sense of the man's stability. A man that does not have a solid work history is often a poor candidate for a serious relationship. Another question could be, do you have any kids? This opens the conversation up to indirectly acquire information regarding his enthusiasm and responsibility regarding parenting. No wise woman should entertain a man who wouldn't be a potentially good parent. Why make babies with a man who is too immature to be a father? Okay, let me just skip a little more. I'm just about done. I'm not going to read the whole, I'm not going through the whole chapter. I just wanted to give you an idea. Okay. A queen never connects herself. This is chapter 2. Queens study kings. A queen never connects herself to a man who does not model her values. Only kings can lead queens. A queen consults with the men in her life. She's going to talk to her father. She's going to talk to her brother. She's going to talk to her pastor if she has one. Because she is not going to submit herself to a man that does not share her values. Okay. Let me see. I'm just cutting across a lot of this. Okay, now that's enough with that. Let's move on to how Queen also studies. There's a lot more in this. Of course, this is a fairly extensive chapter. But queens always, not only do they know the tendencies of ungodly men, but queens also understand the needs. Let me read it. A powerful woman understands that her man, her ordained man, has definite needs that should be met by his wife. In Proverbs 31, there is a description of a virtuous woman. She's a businesswoman, an employer, a mother, and even a philanthropist. But she also meets all of her husband's needs. The Bible says that she meets his needs so completely that he has no justification to mess up. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Proverbs 31:11. A queen will always cover every base pertaining to her man. Queens can identify no good, low down, unrighteous men and avoid them. And they can identify the righteous man that God has ordained for their lives. And when she gets him, she so completely fulfills every need he has that, as the Proverbs 31 woman, he has no need of spoil. You know, if something happened where y'all heard that I went out and messed up and slept around on Lisa, it wouldn't be her fault at all. My wife completely, entirely, totally meets all of my needs. As I honor my wife and I, meet her needs, and I'm there to be her foundation and the house band, the husband, The one that she in turn meets all of my needs. And queens always meet the needs of their ordained man. Queens always meet the needs of their king. A queen will actually study her king and often know him better than he knows himself. Now here's the problem. The problem is when you have given queen-like attention to the clowns that you put the crown on. See, a lot of ladies have taken and put the crown on the clown, but a crown on a clown does not a king make. And so you've gone through all of these clowns that you have given the queen or the king-like attention to, and now you're so broken and you're so bitter that now you have a real king, and you emotionally you have been drained, and you're not even giving the king the kind of attention he deserves. That ain't no queen-like wisdom right there. You mean to tell me you take a man that wouldn't work and abused you and cheated on you, and you gave him everything? Now you got a man that loves God, loves you, honors you, and you talking to him crazy? You won't meet his marital needs? Huh? You did everything for this man. You can't even fix lunch for this brother that God has blessed you with? That ain't no queen-like consciousness there. Now, let me shut this down. Okay, well, it's so much, man. Like in this chapter here, we talked about how does a queen influence a king? How does a woman influence her king? You know, how do you do that? But I'm gonna stop because I can't go. I'm tired and I gotta get something to eat. I haven't eaten yet.